Today on Monkey Life, Chimp Bryan has a trip to the dentist to remove a rotten molar.
Oh, that's quite wobbly.
Quite broken, so I'm worried that if I go too quickly...
Yep.
Lee assesses repairs needed before work can start on a planned new forest enclosure at Monkey World's Vietnamese sister sanctuary, Dao Tien.
Along the fence line, I've got a lot of damage where trees have come down and bent the bars.
And reunited gibbons Kitty and Paul enjoy a fruity feast craftily hidden in some giant pine cones. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
I can't keep her in, get her in. Okay, got it.
The park provides a home for more than 260 primates from 25 different species. At Bryan's chimp enclosure, peace and quiet reigns. But life for the well-established group of 5 is about to change. Alison and Jeremy are due to fly out to the Argentinian capital, Buenos Aires, in the next few days. When they return, they'll be bringing with them 2 adult chimps in need of a new home. The zoo, where mother and son Sasha and Kangoo have lived all of their lives, has transformed into an eco-park to preserve and protect species native to Argentina. Alison has agreed to rehome its 2 remaining chimps, but before they arrive, the teams at the park have a lot to do. The maintenance team have designed a new connecting sleeve to make the transfer from the chimps' travel crates to their new bedrooms easy and safe. It's now being fabricated locally. And at Bryan's, there's another pressing matter. He's been a bit grumpy recently and seems to have an oral problem. If so, it needs sorting right away. Chimp introductions can be challenging at the best of times, and an alpha male in pain won't make a great housemate. Alison wants everything organised before the new chimps arrive.
I just had this nagging thing in the back of my head, or more importantly, in Bryan's mouth. He has a rotten molar. And with everything that's about to happen, I'd rather have that rotten tooth out because I know it troubles him, and that he's feeling comfortable and happy when we return with 2 new individual chimpanzees. I'd like him to be not a bear with a sore head, but to have his mouth looking clean and nice and not full of infection.
Wildlife vet Nick Masters and local vet David Hola have been called in to perform the procedure.
So this is the tooth that you're worrying about, yeah?
Yeah. Is that 1 or 2 even?
I think it's just 1.
Okay.
Chimps' teeth have long roots, but hopefully it will be straightforward. Bryan is no stranger to dental issues.
Gracias.
When he was rescued from Mexico as a 3-year-old in 2006 by Alison and her late husband Jim, he was a traumatized little chimp.
Come here, good boy.
The beach photographer, who used him as a prop for tourist snaps, had knocked out all his young teeth, aside from 4 molars. The remaining shards of broken teeth became infected, and when he arrived at Monkey World, he needed 2 rounds of dental surgery. Although he's come a long way since, Bryan has never fully recovered from his ordeal in Mexico.
We know that Bryan suffers emotionally and psychologically from his treatment in his early years. It was just awful, smuggled from the wild, so having your parents killed, smuggled from Africa into Cuba, from Cuba into Mexico, and then having your teeth knocked out. It's not a good story, and it's damaged him, but he's still the loveliest boy on the planet. He's absolutely gorgeous, and we're working with him. So his dental hygiene and health is something we're very aware of.
Removing a molar can be a long and tricky operation.
Oh, that's quite wobbly.
It's quite broken, so I'm worried that if I go too quickly...
Yep.
Brian's molar is really rotten. The problem for Nick is extracting it without leaving any infected bits in the gum. He takes his time prodding and probing, and it pays off.
Yay, that sounded clean and good.
Yeah, it is. That's the whole root.
The decayed tooth has come out cleanly.
Okay, that looks great.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yay.
I'm glad it was doable.
While Brian is under anaesthetic, the vet team take blood samples and x-rays for the record. Then, he's returned to his bedroom to recover. The care team will closely monitor him until he comes round. He's been given pain relief and antibiotics to prevent any further infection, and the procedure has gone as well as Alison could have hoped.
Today was a really good day. So that molar slipped out in 2 distinct pieces. So that was really good and not too hard work, and it actually went quite quickly. And that canine tooth that was broken off, the gum is already healed over the top of it. There's just one little tiny spot left. So I don't think we'll have to ever consider that again, I'm hoping. And otherwise, Brian is just perfect. He's gorgeous. He's in tip-top physical condition. He looks fantastic. So it was a pretty good call, actually, to have it out. And he's now got just over a week to heal up before Sasha and Kangoo arrive into his house.
Life is about to get exciting for the park's smallest chimpanzee group. Organising the rehoming of the Argentinian chimps and their safe transportation back to the UK has been keeping Alison busy. It's another example in the long list of rescues undertaken by the team over the years. The international cases end up at Monkey World in Dorset, but 6,000 miles away, its sister sanctuary, Dao Tien, assists the government of Vietnam rescuing primates in-country. The staff there dedicate their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating endangered Vietnamese primates, with the aim of releasing them back into the wild, where they belong. Like Monkey World, they've had to keep going through the global pandemic.
The primates come first, and the staff have just been truly amazing through these difficult times. And they've helped maintain and drive Dao Tien forward in everything that it stands for. Every day there's something new happens, and every day, every inch of Dao Tien has to be checked. You know, we check the primates, we check the island, we check the fences. It's just non-stop work.
With more than 30 national parks and 6 biosphere reserves recognised by UNESCO, the conservation of wildlife is becoming a priority for the Vietnamese government. Dao Tien plays a big part in protecting some of the country's most endangered species. Set up 15 years ago, the 56-hectare island in the Dong Nai province is 160 miles northeast of Ho Chi Minh City. Lee Butler, who has managed and overseen much of the work there in the past, has just been able to make his first visit back to the island for more than a year.
I've come back to Vietnam, to Dao Tien this time for a 5-week period. And in that 5 weeks, we've got so much to get done. We've got 4 fence repairs to do, get them back operational. We've got a Gibbon introduction to do. We've got cages to refurb. And with the team behind us, it will be achievable.
Since Dao Tien opened, the team there have rescued more than 260 primates, including golden-cheeked gibbons and pygmy loris. Dao Tien is now also leading the way in Vietnam in the rescue and rehabilitation of Duke monkeys, becoming the prime centre for the species in the region. Keeper Fong is one of their main carers. Every day she brings Vu, Anna and Red from the safety of their enclosures to the trees, so they can play and learn. The team have been preparing them for a life high up in the tree canopy of Vietnam, without human interaction. But the pandemic brought the planned timeline to a shuddering halt, postponing the scheme for their new treetop home. So it may be some time before they're ready for release. Also put back by the pandemic were a number of gibbon releases. Once rehabilitated and paired up, the gibbons at Dao Tien are assessed and, if fit and healthy and deemed suitable for release, are let into a semi-free forested area on the island, of which there are 4, the largest being 20 hectares. They still need their food supplemented due to a lack of fruiting trees, but it's here that the gibbons can start to build up their tree strength and knowledge. However, during COVID, some of the protective fences deteriorated and are now in need of repair. Lee has been assessing the area.
Along the fence line, I've got a lot of damage where trees have come down and bent the bars.
It's one of the reasons releases had to be put on hold.
See, much better. Nice. That's the biggest job we have to do, and once that fence is operational, we then can move another pair or a family of gibbons into that forested enclosure, which is 20 hectares of the island. It's a huge enclosure. It's amazing.
Moving a pair of golden-cheeked gibbons into the large semi-free area will free up space for the 3 dukes to be moved, until the team can forge ahead with plans to build a brand new purpose-built duke facility. Lee's been scouring the island trying to find a suitable location. It can't come soon enough. Another young duke needing care and companionship of his own kind recently arrived at the centre. Peter is a black-shanked duke, around 4 or 5 years old. Like many of the primates who come to Dao Tien for rehabilitation, the details of his background are unclear.
A lot of the time, information isn't forthcoming. It's very difficult sometimes to get information of how long have they had him, when did they get him, what had they been feeding, and all this is important information for us. But unfortunately, we didn't get that information.
Peter is getting to know the other 3 young dukes, but for now only has contact through the mesh. Once the new duke facility is built, the team can move the introductions along. Working on the island is 24/7 for the team there, and includes looking after the gibbons during the day and caring and preparing feeds for the loris at night. They keep going no matter what. The global pandemic didn't dent their dedication, and now everyone is ready to get the gibbons, dukes and loris back to the forest where they belong.
Without question, if it wasn't for our Vietnamese team, we wouldn't be able to achieve what we've achieved in the past and hope to achieve in the future. They're more of a family. We work so well and so closely together. Without them, none of this would be possible. It's as simple as that. It would not be possible to achieve.
Over the last few months, the primate care team have been busy trialling some new pairings at the main Gibbon House so that everyone has a partner. Golden-cheeked Tio and La Gibbon Kitty were one of the pairs trialled. Unfortunately, this match didn't go to plan.
With Kitty and Tio, it was always, right from the beginning, it was such a high-intensity introduction. We were always worried that it was going to fall apart and that one of those really intense play sessions would actually turn into a bit of a situation of a fight or something like that. And unfortunately, after 2 weeks of being solidly together, they did actually turn that into a bit of a fight. And once there was that sort of tension between them, they really lost all trust in each other. They hadn't built enough of that really close, gentle contact with lots of cuddles and grooming and things, which really helps to cement a bond. And so we have had to split them up.
Kitty came off worse, and although she only suffered a few minor cuts and scrapes, the team were concerned things might escalate. So now they're back to square one. Kitty has been reunited with her former partner, agile Gibbon Paul.
they just kind of went into the rooms like, oh, it's you, all right, fair enough. And they just kind of carried on about their day as if nothing had actually happened. So we are really lucky that we've managed to get those two guys back together. And now we're starting to see, as they spend a little bit more time together, that they are starting to interact a bit more with each other as well. So that's really nice to see.
Today, as a bit of a welcome back treat, the pair are being given some of their favourite foods.
We've had some giant Pinecones donated and they've got some really big gaps in them. So we've stuffed those with dried apricots and figs. Gibbons love fruit, but they really, really do enjoy the dried fruits as well. And figs are a natural fruit that they would eat a lot of out in the wild. So those dried figs are a real tasty treat for them. So hopefully they'll come out this morning and really enjoy them.
Once the slides are open, the couple head straight out. Kitty immediately heads up to the suspended pine cones. She loves her food and demonstrates typical Gibbon behaviour, hanging by one hand while gathering food with the other. Paul opts for easier pickings, scooping up a couple of pine cones on one of the platforms. While Kitty is determined to devour as much food as she can, Paul has found another use for the pine cones. They're fun to play with. The fruit treats aren't the same as the gibbons would find in the wild in their natural forest habitat. Dried fruit has a much higher sugar content, but Kat has taken this into account.
We don't want to just give the guys a load of real basic sugar foods that they can just stuff down and have no energy burnt off. So putting them around in the enclosure, making them have to work in the pine cones, having to pull them out, etc. And having tied them up as well, that means they're having to use all of their body to actually get these nice tasty rewards. And it's not something that they get very often. It is a very occasional treat, so they should hopefully really enjoy them, but not get too fat with them either.
There's a big physical difference between this pair. La Gibbon Kitty is almost twice the size of agile Gibbon Paul. They've never really bonded as a couple. Their relationship is more like siblings, but they have a close platonic partnership and continue to enjoy each other's company. It's been another busy year of rescues for Alison and the team, coming to the aid of small primates around the UK, all victims of the British pet trade. Marmoset infant Tik Tok was one. She came to the park almost a year ago.
Hi, madam. Good girl. Look at how big you've gotten. She's grown into quite a huge, beautiful lady. In fact, she's so big. I mean, look at the length of her body compared to my hand. I'm sort of wondering if she's another hybrid marmoset from the British pet trade. So, you know, the breeders and dealers have been taking their business to sort of a new level of actually producing hybrid animals. And that's very typical of what we're seeing in the British pet trade now.
Despite her unfortunate background, since coming to Monkey World, Tik Tok has thrived.
You're such a good girl. Yes, you are. Here you go.
The youngster was introduced to adoptive parents Clydie and Ronnie soon after she arrived. She was desperately in need of a family, and the pair quickly took to her, providing the support she needed. Unfortunately, both foster parents have now passed away, but plans are afoot to find Tik Tok a life partner. In the meantime, she still has the company and chatter of the other marmosets around her.
Tik Tok's a true success story for us. You know, she's a totally natural marmoset now who flies around this enclosure and is very, very confident. You can see, I mean, she will remember me taking her out of that box and putting her into our transport box. But, you know, she's confident in her environment here at the park, and it's a very good and healthy one.
3 other rescues followed closely after Tik Tok. Red-bellied tamarin Red is now happy but has ongoing medical issues. Being the only one of her species at the park, she's yet to be matched with a permanent mate, despite a few attempts. Corley was an incredibly nervous and scared young marmoset when she arrived, but meeting Comet has been instrumental in transforming her confidence.
Really pleased for Collie. We got her turned around. She's sorted out nutritionally, physically now, and Collie has a really sound partner because Comet knows what he's about and is quite feisty.
Another success story is the park's most recent arrival, Jangles. She's settled into life at the Marmoset complex and is very happy living with Reggie. But until the UK law governing the trade in small primates is changed, the flow of rescues will continue.
Last count, I've got more than 80 on my waiting list. So, you know, sadly, it used to be 100. You'd think that the decline in the waiting list is a good thing, but it's not because we're taking them all. It's because they're either dying or being sold back into the pet trade. So the whole situation's quite tragic, and basically we're just trying to pick up and help save as many marmosets as we can.
Alison has been campaigning for a change in the law to protect the rights and welfare of small primates in the UK for almost 25 years. The new Kept Animals Bill is currently going through Parliament.
In amongst that is a change in the legislation for primates kept as pets in Britain. And it's not an outright ban, but it is a registration system which actually requires and obligates people to keep them under appropriate conditions. So no more bird cages in sitting rooms, breeders not allowed to sell them on to people unless they're already registered and approved. We've now had 2 readings in House of Commons. We're waiting for a reading in the House of Lords. And this will be a vast improvement if it actually comes to fruition. So I'm hopeful that we'll actually get significant steps forward to improve the plight of primates in the British pet trade, and that the trade will very much slow down and dry up.
An improvement in conditions may be in sight, but until the law is actually passed, the park will continue to pick up the pieces left by the devastating trade in small primates. Next time on Monkey Life. Alison and Jeremy travel to Argentina to meet chimps Sasha and Kangu and prepare to bring them back to their new Dorset home.
Now to see them in the flesh in their enclosure, really nice.
And jelly good fun at the orangutan nursery. But which floating balls contain the treat?